As a hairstylist who owns multiple multi-million-dollar companies, in this podcast, I'm talking to hairstylists and salon owners who are ready to put in the work to build wealth. We are literally teaching stylists how to get results. We're getting them to get results on how to make more money behind the chair and to create their own empires. It's what you know that you don't know that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. Because I understand now that in order for me to get to my targets and my big goals and be able to impact 500,000 stylists all over the world and 400 plus salon owners and helping them run an efficient business that they don't feel like they're babysitting anymore, that they feel like they know how to scale it because they have the right information. We get to touch this magic every day of giving people the confidence of hair, but truly it's how do we be more impactful and understanding. My name is Terra Harvell and this is the Terra Harvell Show.
Okay, guys, I am so excited about this conversation because I know this is going to be so helpful for, number one, salon owners who are trying to grow a high-performing team. Number two, stylists who are working in other salons. And for stylists that are coming just right out of school and trying to grow their business and trying to make it in this career. Because let's be honest, we know it's not easy. Two of my rock stars here that work in the Harper Ellis Salon. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about their journeys, why they're here. We're going to get into some numbers. We're going to get into maybe some nitty gritty of some hard conversations that we've had to have, and just growth in general. But the main thing that I want you to take away from this is the process. Like, how did this happen and how does this keep happening in the Harper Ellis Salon? Those of you that don't know, we educate thousands of salon owners on how to grow and scale their business. And the way that we do that is through painting a massive vision for their teams, but also developing their team as fast as possible. Basically raising the standard to become this new normal to be high performing. And so that's what we do inside the Harper Ellis Salon. And so I'm so excited for you guys to kind of hear about that process, hear why it's working. I feel like on Instagram, social media, all the things, you guys hear it from me all the time. I talk to you about the salon. I talk to you about the processes, especially if you're doing education with us. But I want you to hear it from the people that are in it, because that's probably a little bit of a different story, right? I'm high level. I'm talking about the processes. I created the processes, but let's hear from the people that are actually in those processes and doing the thing. And so the one thing that I want to start with is I want to talk a little bit about the story. I have Kyrsten here. Kyrsten is a stylist in the salon. She's actually one of our mentor stylists. And then I have Lani Israel, and she is her assistant. Mm-hmm. And so Kyrsten, actually, you were my assistant for like a quick bit, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like, I don't even remember. This was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Not even like 5 years ago. But she basically worked in our salon since she was, I don't know, 15, 16.
Yeah.
So she worked there in high school. She worked at a front desk. She, answered the phone. I trusted her to count my drawers sometimes.
It's
wild,
crazy of you.
I know. She basically, was scrubbing a lot of baseboards, cleaning the salon a lot, doing
crying
the things,
a little bit.
crying a little bit. I just will never forget. I've told this story in other podcasts, but we had this like sign off sheet, at the end of the night where you have to sign off on all the tasks that you do. She signed off on them, but they were not done. Well, in her defense, I think she did them, but like earlier in the day, but not before she left. And so I called her. I'm like, "Are you lying to me? Because you signed off on all these tasks and they are not done." And so, with Kyrsten, now her life looks a lot different. And that's what I really want to talk about. She's gone through our assistant program. She assisted Creighton mainly. Mm-hmm. We have another episode that we filmed with him, and we're going to talk more about this process.
Oh, yeah.
But Creighton was my assistant. And so I developed Creighton. Creighton has immense amount of success behind the chair, makes more money than God behind the chair. It is wild. Only works 4 days a week. And then he developed Kyrsten. And so, Kyrsten, how long have you been an actual stylist?
This would be my third year on the floor by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
I'm 23.
23. So this is what I love about the story. And it's going to get less cool as the older you get, so you'll get irrelevant here soon.
Yeah.
But this is really cool because she's 23 years old. Like at 23, I was still totally fucking around, not doing the things that I needed to be doing. And I was not living the life that she has now. And so let's talk about that life.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You went through the assistant program. Was that easy? Like, tell me about being Creighton's assistant.
It was not easy. And, I loved working for Creighton, but I faced a lot of challenges that I would not realize that I had to face. Me and Lani talk about this all the time. Like, you think it's just going in and learning how to do a foil. man, the mental challenges that you face day to day, and also like the consistency that you have to wire yourself to keep yourself on was insane. But Creighton taught me everything. But Creighton taught me everything about business behind the chair. He taught me how to follow in his footsteps, your footsteps. And we said this in our last podcast, like, you know, you guys taught a girl how to dream. And like from being in school where they did not teach you how to set goals or to have big ideas, Creighton and you basically served this to me. Like, look at all the things that you could do. But instead of just showing me, y'all taught me how to do it. Yeah. And I think that was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah. So, you know, with that, I think, you know, you're going to hear this consistency throughout this whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were just talking about this with Lani. We had a meeting yesterday. And I was the coach in this meeting. It was us three. Yep. And, you know, Lani was talking about, you know, growing that clientele. And we're going to talk about what our clientele looks like already. And some of you guys that are salon owners and are stylists, you're going to be like, holy moly, this girl doesn't even know what she has. And she doesn't. But that's okay. I'm good with that. But what happens when you are just like sort of birthed, that's the wrong word, but birthed into a high-performing environment, you don't know anything different. And so, you know, I had a bit of a different career. You know, I created this environment. However, right out of school, I was able to go into a really high-performing environment. I was an assistant for one of my mentors. I moved to Las Vegas. I worked with stylists who were making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, the epitome of success, basically. And so when I moved, you know, back home, which is where our salon is now and in our hometown, I didn't know anything different until I went to work at other people's salons. And I worked at mostly booth rental salons because, let's be honest, that's what exists here in our town. I don't even know of another commission salon. There might be a couple, but it's just not a thing. And so when I went into these other environments, I was like, oh my goodness, like I was shell shocked because of the lack of, you know, discipline, you know, stylists showing up looking like they crawled out of bed and just not caring about their business, like not looking at their numbers, they were just literally showing up at the first client and leaving at the last client. And that was the name of the game for them. And so I quickly realized, I was like, okay, what my brain is programmed is not the norm. When I opened my own salon, which, you know, you guys, if you want to hear that story, definitely listen to all the other episodes that we have. But I opened the salon not ready to open the salon. But when I dialed in our training, this is what happened. And it continues to happen. And so that's what we're talking about here in this episode. Yeah. And, you know, you, first year out of the floor, so you were an assistant for longer than we normally have you.
Yes.
How long?
Like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't do that anymore.
No.
We try to get them trained within 6 months or less and out the door. Sometimes it may, you know, go to that like 7 month, maybe to the 8 month, depending on how fast they're growing their clientele. But we really, like 2 years is way too long. Gone are the days that you should be training people for that long because you can do it in a shorter time if your training is dialed in.
Yeah.
Back then, we were still working through some of the training processes.
Yes.
But you were hung with Creighton for 2 years. Partly that had to do with, you know, you being in high school and getting your license and all those things. But what did your first year on the floor as a stylist?
So for me, my first year on the floor, I did hit 6 figures working with Creighton and Creighton teaching me those ways and how to get there.
Right. And so the reason why too, though, is because in our assistant program and how we grow people is you are developing that clientele through that assistant program. So that way when you hit the floor as a stylist, it's not like you're not dumped on your head like good luck. You know, now you need to start on social media. But let's talk about that system because now our systems are way more dialed in. We're going to talk about that with Lani here in a second. We made you made you is the word. Like forced progression is something that we say a lot inside of our environment. I think some of you guys listening to this podcast, if you, number one, haven't developed a high performing environment, or number two, you're scared of it. I hear a lot of like forced progression just seems so wrong. I'm like, I would love for somebody to force progress me through my career. That would be incredible.
Absolutely.
But we did. We were like, you know, when you become a stylist is not when you start showing up on social media. It's now. It's as an assistant, you start building your clientele now. So what did that look like? And also I want you to hit on the struggles because we talked about this yesterday with Lani. How long have you been showing up on social media? When did you start that?
So honestly, when I first started with Creighton, after, you know, we kind of went through the basics of the assistant handbook, how to pick up foils, how to clean up your area and things like that. That's when we kind of dialed in of, all right, now that you know how to do these, how are you going to get people in your chair and how are you going to start applying this? Creighton, you know, me and him have kind of like bounced off of each other with learning like what social media works better and things like that. I had to figure out the ways to get the content, post the content, batch it, you know, create the captions. Back then we didn't have the drafts and stuff like that. I didn't know how to do anything, but it was the struggle of, okay, I didn't have clients immediately then, so I helped Creighton. Me and Creighton helped each other record content of each other, and then that's how I kind of started posting until I started getting my clients in on the door on Saturdays, which meant that I was working Monday through Saturday, 9 to 8 o'clock every single day, worked like that. I think I did that for 2 years straight. No changes in that, but it was super hard. Like, I mean, working that amount of hours and like trying to learn as much as you possibly can, staying disciplined while also trying to get the social media. And at that time, we didn't know the exact types of things that we needed. So I feel like me and Craig were just getting as much as we can. It was almost like an overload. However, it was honestly the greatest thing ever because I kind of got a fast feel of what works and what didn't. However, then came the struggles of, well, Tara, I'm working 50-hour weeks, I'm posting, well, I don't have the freaking clients. Like, where are they? And you're like, girl, you've been doing this for 6 months. What are you talking about? Yeah. Of course you're doing the work, but you're going to have to give it time and you're going to have to show up and bring authority. And I was like, you know, and at the time, I was like 21 when I was still an assistant. And I had those struggles of looking in and being like, man, all these people on the weekends are out having fun, don't give a crap about life, got to do whatever the heck they wanted to do. Like, I kind of want to try that. And you were like, you sure about that? But you came to me and you were like, listen, like, I'm going to have this hard conversation with you, like, because I love you and want you to grow. Like, that is not going to get you to where you're one in life. Like, you're telling me you want to have these big dreams and stuff. You saying like, oh, I want to take off on Saturdays when you don't even have a full week, like Monday through Friday, it's just not going to work. Okay. So my struggles were the transitioning.
Yeah. And, you know, like looking back, you know, I wasn't always the most responsible 21-year-old, of course. I wasn't even the most responsible, like, 25-year-old.
Yeah.
But, like, having those conversations with her, and a lot of you salon owners, you're going to have the same ones. You're going to have these, you know, number one, and I'll start with this. Number one, when you hire high-performing people, you set that expectation. Hey, for your first year, maybe 2 years, you may be working 6 days a week. And you know, there is a life on the other side of that. And sure, you should be painting that vision of what that can look like. But like setting that expectation, because I think a lot, and no offense, you guys, but like, and even my age, like nobody signs up like, I'm going to work all the time to get to my goal. Right. And so if you as the leader don't set that expectation up front, they're going to be blindsided. And that's when burnout's going to set in. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm working all the time. And especially like she just said, she was showing up on social media. She was doing the things that, and this podcast may ruffle some of your feathers, but this is why you guys as salon owners, you're failing and you will fail because you don't set this expectation for people in the assistant program when they just first come out of the womb, basically. Hey, post on social media. You got to be willing to suck at it for a while. Like she said, you know, now she's a master content creator. I've never seen anything like it. She creates the most insane content and she does it quickly.
Yeah.
But like back then that wasn't the case because like you got to crawl before you ball. And so you guys as salon owners, the problem is you are allowing stylists to float through this assistant program. It's like, let me call you. Oh, but let me teach you how to formulate and maybe wash hair here and there. And then they become stylists and then it's like downhill, straight downhill, crash and burn, almost like nosedive. Imagine a plane just hitting the ground, blowing up. And that's what keeps happening. It's a cycle over and over and over inside of your salon because you're not letting them work out these kinks and these feelings of like, oh my gosh, I'm working all the time. Where's my results? Well, you're not going to get them in 5 seconds because I've been doing this 15 years. I'm a decade in. You know, I spent a decade or a little bit more behind the chair. And, you know, it just doesn't happen overnight. But they learn that. And now, you know, it's so cool. And this is where I'll start bringing you into this. Yesterday, she had one of her first one-on-ones and she just was like, hey, I'm working a lot. I'm feeling that like burnout. And that's where like you guys as leaders, you know, it's so annoying. And I used to have older people in my life do this, like, you cannot be burnt out. You're ridiculous. You know, just wait till you get older. No, that is not the way that you handle that conversation. I validated your feelings yesterday. I was like, yep, you're working 6 days a week. Makes sense why you're burned out. But here's the thing, the vision. You got to understand what you're working for because this is why you guys as salon owners, it is a cycle over and over. You guys as salon owners are burnt the hell out because you don't even have a goal that you're working for. You're just going into your adult daycare, herding cats all day, every day, hoping that they want to jump on board and be successful, and just crossing your fingers and hoping that you might make $1 or $2 by the end of the month. And chances are you're not. And so this is why you guys are like, no wonder it's a shit show inside your businesses, because the processes are not set up. You guys, I say all that because I've been there. And that was my like cycle of just evil because I had no systems in place. And now we do. And now we have different results. That's why we teach thousands of salon owners our systems now, because they work. And so now what is your 3 years as a stylist? What was your revenue last year?
$260,000.
Nice. So $260,000 in revenue as a 23-year-old. Some of you guys have been in the industry for 100 years. You've never even seen numbers like that. But it's because you didn't follow the process, because you didn't build the stat. Now, something before we dive in on Lani, because this is what I really want you guys to hear. You will not have people build these kind of stats because it's a chain effect, right? I had to show them what success looks like. Now, I want you guys to understand this. People don't know what success looks like until you tell them. Until you not just tell them, you show them. She would have never believed that she could hit $260,000. And here's the thing. We come from so many broken beliefs. As you guys hire these like children, you do. A lot of us do. Yeah. I do. Sometimes we get the, upper 20s or maybe early 30s inside of our salon. But a lot of them are young children, and even if they are older adults, they come from so many broken beliefs. Were your parents rich?
No.
Yeah, same. Were your parents rich?
Nope.
So we all come from, very just normal lives. I mean, here and there, things may be very different, but like we all come from broken beliefs, and most of the people that you guys hire inside your businesses will. $260,000 as a 18-year-old, unreal money. Like I've never fathomed that amount of money, right? Now, it's all about your belief. Now, I look at that amount of money and I'm like, you can do more. You can do better. Because my belief lid is here. And as a stylist behind the chair, you guys have probably heard me say this stat a million times, but I was able to produce around $750,000 in revenue. Now, let me just like throw in a little seed there. Was that sustainable for a long amount of time? No. I was working, I had like 9 extension clients a day. Creighton was my assistant at the time. Like we barely got time to pee. Honestly, like I had like some health problems. I don't recommend doing that unless you can raise your prices to do that easily. But like I was out to show people what was possible, truly. And then I was getting out of a financial situation myself. So coming in, Creighton does around $340,000 in revenue. But like he would have never thought that was possible if you wouldn't have seen what I was able to do behind the chair. And so you guys, like, number one, your salon is failing because you as the owner, you don't have a staff. So they don't trust you because you've never painted what success looks like for them. She comes in, now she does that. Now we've got Lani here. Lani, how long have you been at the salon?
8 months.
8 months. Okay. So she's towards the end of her assistant program with Kyrsten. And what's crazy is some of you guys are about to hear her numbers and what she does behind the chair and what she does as an assistant, and you guys are going to be like, whoa, because it's all in the system. Okay, let's just say this. How many times have I personally, like, coached you and had, like, interactions with you since you've been in the salon?
Probably 3 personal meetings where you coached me.
Yeah, just like 3. 3 times, guys. 3 times me as a salon owner have I personally gone in and had conversations with her, one-on-ones with her about just business, basically. So I want you guys to write that down, like 3 times. So you're 8 months into this, and tell me the number one thing, like coming from being a cosmetology student to, because you came right into the salon after you graduated, what is your like beliefs being different? Like when you graduated, you thought the career would go this way, but now you're on the inside and you're like, whoa, this is different. What's the difference?
I could obviously see that what y'all were doing was absolutely insane and unheard of, but I didn't know in depth how crazy it was. So when I was in school, I just thought, oh, it's just hair. They're just making shitload of money just doing hair. No. As soon as I got in here, I realized it's not just about hair. It's about tracking your metrics, setting the standard, wanting to do more than anyone else around you.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about our metrics in a second, but like that's quickly what they learn. Now, what I want you to tell them, how long, when you started with us, like how long was it until we started teaching you extensions?
Day 1.
Day 1. So here's what I want you guys to understand. I see this all the time, even inside of our own programs. I get salon owners that are like, I just hired this assistant, but I'm just like not sure that she's good yet. And I'm just not sure she's like loyal yet. So I'm gonna just like wait to get her certified and wait to get her, trained up. I'm just gonna like fill it out for a while. I hope that you just heard me like say this right now and you thought, wow, you do sound like an idiot. Because I'm giving you guys some tough loves that are watching this video, but like, okay, at what point as an employer are you responsible to develop your people? Like, where do you take that responsibility of like, their success is in my hands. I can either prolong this and I can, kick the rock down the road. I got to find out if Lani's going to be loyal. But like, let's be honest. Let's be really, really, really vulnerable. What if she isn't? What if she decides next week she's like, deuces, guys? What did I lose? I had 3 conversations with her. What do you have to lose? A little more.
That'll be a little sound like,
yeah. But like, not that she's replaceable. Lani knows I have had, conversations with her about the future. Lani's going to be right there with me taking over this industry. She's going to be a massive asset because she's going to create thousands of her, which is going to be a dream. But like, and I get chills like talking about it, but like, you guys, you're thinking about the wrong things. You're focusing on like the negatives and the fears. And like, if I would have focused on the fears and the negatives, I wouldn't have a $1.5 million salon. That's a 20% profitability that I only spend an hour or less of my time on every single week. And I wouldn't have a $10 million hair extension and education business. I wouldn't if I would have focused on like, what if this happens, right? But now, because we've trained her so fast, now I'm guarantee you she's looking at the people around her that she's graduated with. And what's the difference between you and those people?
Actually, people who graduated even before me, they work maybe 2 days a week.
They work 2 days a week because why?
They didn't have the goals. They thought it's just about hair.
So they work 2 days a week probably because they don't have the clientele, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't, like that's just what they do. And so they're probably working in, and this isn't a bash booth rental salon video, but like, if it kind of stings you in the heart, good. Because like chances are your booth rental salon, you don't have any training in place because why the hell would you?
Yeah.
You get no benefit from training people. So they probably went and paid booth rent somewhere.
They all do.
And how do they show up every day? I mean, you probably don't even they're probably not in your life where you like see them every day, but like.
I see them on social media.
Yeah. So what does their social media look like?
Like they just showed up to work, no intention. They're not driven.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yeah. And I hate that. And I hope that some of her old classmates are watching this. Like, you can change it around now. You can live a different life. And this isn't about like who's better than the other. It's just like paths. Paths are different. You work 2 days a week because you're with her the other.
Yes.
Soon we're about to, give you more days behind the chair because you're in the process of growing your clientele. How many days a week do you post on social media?
Every day.
Every single day. And that's stories and your static feed?
Yes.
You're doing both. And so you've shown up on social media. Like, has that been easy? Like, were you just like good at it coming out of the gate?
No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah. But like now, instead of just like trying to get good, she posted the cutest story on the salon. It was like about the.
Yes.
I was like, you look like a professional. You've been doing this for.
She talks so good on camera.
I'm like, but has it always been that way? Have
No.
you like immediately talked well behind the camera?
I remember when it was probably my first week and you challenged every single one of us to get on our stories and talk. And I probably took that video 30 times before I actually posted it. And I still hated it when I posted it. Now I've learned like, nobody cares.
No.
Just say what you got to say and post it. Don't even listen back on it.
Exactly. Yeah, don't. And so, but now like the conversations around your social media, we're talking about strategy.
Yes.
Now it's like, who's the ideal client? Who are we talking to? But this is the problem. You guys, your standards and your environments are so to the ground low that like strategy's not even thought in their mind because they haven't even done the part of just showing up. And so this is what creating a high-performing environment, you guys like, and if you want a high-performing environment, you as the owner have to be high-performing yourself. Because you think I could show up and be like, guys, you have to post on social media every day if I'm not doing it myself? Oh, they would look at me and laugh probably. Like the whole system would be broken. So you work 2 days behind the chair. On average, what's your monthly revenue for those 2 days working behind the chair?
About $5,500.
2 days behind the chair, $5,500 a month in revenue. Okay, so she took those numbers and she was working 4 days a week. That would be around $11,000 in revenue a month. And that's $132,000 in a year. So So right there, boom, out of the gate, 6-figure stylist. Now we all know the 6-figure stylist is like loaded. You know, obviously she wouldn't take home 6 figures, but she'd be on her way to that, producing $132,000 in revenue behind the chair. Some of you guys watching this as owners, as stylists who've been in the game for a while, you're not doing that yet because you got to go back to the home plate. You got to go back to the home plate. And base one is the simple things like showing up for your marketing, tracking your metrics, setting a goal. You know, how many extension clients do you have?
7.
7. And she knows the exact number because why?
Because I track my metrics every day.
Because we track it every day. What's your goal for extension clients?
5.
Yeah. So she's overstated the goal, but what's your next goal?
Probably 10.
Yeah. So she wants to get to that 10 mark. But like if she didn't have the goal, how the hell would she ever get there? Because this game, you gotta keep score and know that you're winning. Is it easy right now? Like what's your process looking like right now? Like tell me a little bit more about that.
And you already told them. We had a meeting yesterday about it. But, I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to lie. And you really opened my eyes saying, like, it's the mentality. And I thought I had a great mentality. But the 6 days a week, it gets tough. I have to change my mentality. I have to pivot with the growth and just move through it every day.
Totally. And you guys as leaders, like, this is such a great lesson. Like, I would be, and this is what you guys are doing. Like, I'm looking at this. How old are you? 20. 20. Oh, my God. I was not doing this at 20. If I was, I'd be a lot further along. I'd have like an island by now. But like at 20 years old, you know, I could have easily in this conversation yesterday be like, oh girl, you've got a lot to learn. Your mindset, that is not what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. That is not, and it's not about like telling them what they want to hear. But like I'm 34 years old. Of course she doesn't have the same mentality. I have a 8-figure business. And so like, of course our mentality is different. She's just now learning how to make money. But like you as a leader and just tell them like, what did I do yesterday in that conversation of like, how did I kind of guide you through that?
You told me that like, basically there's light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to get through this tough patch.
Right.
It's not always going to be this hard.
Mm-hmm. And did I tell you that there'd probably be another tough patch after that?
Yes.
And so like, you know, you want to be realistic when painting a vision because like, you know, where I'm at, like, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't know if you guys, I'm like broke out in shingles right now. I have lots of problems, right? Like life is stressful. I run, again, a large business and I have this salon and like, it's not ever gonna be perfect, but that's success. But like what I'm coaching her on and what's so cool, but like I spent, you know, this one was more direct access to me because she was my assistant for a while and she was mainly Creighton's, but like I coached her. So the reason why I've only had 3 conversations with her is because now she coaches her. I don't have to step in because I've led her to be successful and also be able to coach. Because here's the deal. I asked this question in class the other day. I was like, all right, you guys, raise your hand. This is so mean. This is awful. I shouldn't have done this. But I was like, raise your hand if you like, you know, feel like you're a great leader. And everybody's like, oh, it was like 80% of the class. And I was like, cool, I love that. Now raise your hand if you've created other people inside of your own business that are also leaders. Not one hand went up. Because we have leadership twisted. Like leadership, you become a good leader, good for you. You're not a good leader until you create other good leaders. And so we have so many processes inside of our business that we teach now in our entire program. Those performance reviews, you know, we're bringing them in. I had one with her not long ago, and both of them. I'm teaching them the competencies. They go through this maturity model and they read. As an assistant, you know, we teach them how to control their response when criticized. Like, how are you responding? It was, can I call you that a little bit? Because it's so funny because they're going to relate.
It's fine.
She responds so well. Like this is you can tell she played sports because she's a go-getter. That's why she's going to go insanely far. But like she does this little thing when she doesn't like what you're saying, she kind of flares her nose just like a tad.
A little bit.
It's like, and I'm like, Lani, you are so great at handling everything. But you do this little thing where you like flare your nose a little. She's like, oh my God, do I? And I was like, yeah, see, if I would have never made you aware of that, how do you control it? But we set it up to where we have the right environment to be able to go in because Lani can grade herself at how she responds to criticism. And then I, as the leader, can step in and be like, you're almost perfect, girl. But there is just one thing. But like you can imagine like just that one little tip. How far is that going to she's going to get married someday. She's going to have, no, seriously, like,
yeah.
And this is competencies that I've had to learn in my own life. Like when my husband says shit that I don't like, which is a lot, like, can you imagine if my reaction was always just like nose flaring and like, I'm like, okay, babe. But I'm like, you know, like people can read you like a book, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and to be honest with you, nose flaring would have been great. When my husband and I first got married, you know, I just like cuss at him a little. But now, you know, I'm grown and developed into my own. And I'm like, I can't do that. That is weird. You just can't have a great relationship and act like that. And so, you know, I was explaining to her, it's not about the nose flare. It's about like, you're going to run into so many mentors and people that want to coach you. How do you become so coachable? And a lot of you guys, if you would just go change that one thing and make your team coachable, it would change your entire business. But we're working on hundreds of competencies with these people. And you know, with this one, she's at a much higher level right now, but we're working on leadership. How do you correct? How fast are you going to correct? We had this coaching the other day. You know, I said, you know, Lani's incredible. You honestly got it made because she's so great. But there are some things that you could do better as a leader. How fast are you correcting Lani? When something goes wrong, are you letting it kind of float away? Or are you going and correcting them so she can be better? She's like, well, it just depends. Well, no, it can't depend. You got to correct fast. But like, I'm teaching her that. And some of you guys as salon owners, and feel attacked, I don't care. You aren't even correcting your people when they're doing something wrong. And it's not for me. It's for them to grow into what they're telling me that their goals are. And so, you know, it's just such an incredible, I wanted you guys to see the process. Like, this is the process of duplication. And it starts with you as the owner. And so, you know, I just appreciate you guys being here. And like, I know your journey is not easy, and they just told you it's not easy. I'm not over here like pretending like on the inside what we do every day is like sunshine and rainbows and they're so happy and all the things, which I think most days y'all are pretty happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, but like, yeah, yesterday's real. You know, she came, she's burnt out, she's working 6 days a week. Of course she is, you know, rightfully so. But like, hey, keep pushing past this moment. And then you'll get to this place where you're working 4 days a week. You know, she's working 4 days a week and she's on salary with Harper Ellis. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Great. But is that easy for you to do?
Nope.
So you're going to run into a whole nother stage of burnout because every stage has a new challenge. But like, this is the process of duplication. And this is where 97% of businesses fail, but 80, actually, I would be willing to test this. If they say 80% of salons fail. Let's talk ChatGPT and what the internet said. I would bet it's closer to that 97 mark. Because when you're not profitable, I think that's a fail. When you're not scaling, you're failing. Matter of fact, that's the biggest one. Like inside of this industry, I see so many salons that haven't set themselves up to scale and get bigger and make more revenue and make more profit. And so if you're not doing any of those things, you are failing. And so I do think it's a larger than an 80% stat on that. And so we'll wrap this up with this. I was just talking to her. We were talking about this. Like, I think there was a time early on and you'd maybe requested quite a few days off. And honestly, it wasn't because she like is a loser and doesn't work. It was because she doesn't know. She's never had like, was this your first job? Like, you've had other like.
I had other jobs, but vacation was like normal within them. So they just let us do whatever.
Yeah. So like, you know, if they're not, again, like you guys are expecting these 20-year-olds to come in and know what you know. Like, they don't know. And so I didn't attack her in this way of like, girl, you're crazy. You don't take vacation at this stage in your life. But it's kind of what I said. But tell them what I said to you, actually. Tell them, and we were talking about metrics. We were talking about just success in general. Tell them what I asked you then.
Do you want to be a bench warmer or a Michael Jordan?
Yeah. And so, you know, like, and so many players in my entire team, like nobody in my building, I don't have a single human that I look at and is like, oh yeah, they're fine with like blending in. Like nobody, I mean, I've got some of my marketing team set behind this camera right now. Like neither one of them want to blend in. Like they're trying to be the Michael Jordan, and they should be, and they can be, and everybody can be a team of Michael Jordans. Like I truly believe that. And I think that's what successful businesses do is they create so many Michael Jordans that they're an expert in their thing, that's how people succeed. And so I'm just really proud of these two. Number one, like follow them on Instagram. Like these are the people that you should be watching because they're walking the walk and they have the stat and they're building the stat. And like, I can't wait to see, like, we're going to re-record something before 5 years, but I can't wait to like clip this video. Dylan, write this down. I'm going to clip this video about what she's doing now. And 5 years from now, he's like, damn, this is going to be a note I'm going to have to keep for a long time. But like in 5 years from now, we're going to be recording, or a year from now even, another video about her success, and I can't wait to see because this is what I wish we would have recorded your crying ass when you were in my office.
No.
And being like, Tara, I don't know. I just don't think I'll ever succeed. I'm like, you will succeed. Rome was not built in a day.
Yep.
And so you guys, we were talking about this when the camera went off. She's like, my classmates are going to hate me. And she's running to kill me for saying this. But I'm like, no, it's the same. You can't hate the player, hate the game, right? They can come in and be a part of this. They are choosing their path. You chose your path. And so it's not about who's better and we're over here living on our high horse. No, it's about you're putting in the work to get the results that I know that they want. Everybody wants those results. But not everybody gets them because they don't want to put in the work. So this is what this is about, you guys. I hope this really motivated you to change your business around. Build more processes. I had to. I was $8 profitable one year. Oof. And this is a result of failing because I either have to close my doors and sell all my shares on Facebook Marketplace, or I can make, processes in order to make these people successful. And so you guys can do it too. I really believe in you. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.